Living in Brazil has many more advantages than disadvantages, yet the disadvantages may require you to alter your expectations and way of life in more ways than you anticipated. Brazil is a beautiful location to live in, but it does require you to make some sacrifices. The prominence of Brazil on the international scene is growing, as is the number of foreigners in the country. Before you move to Brazil, be sure you have completed your homework. As an expat in Brazil, you must look after your health, your children's education, and your living quarters. After all, living in Brazil is about more than the carnival, the Copacabana, the country's rainforests, and the beautiful weather. Many Brazilians are known for their friendliness and the cultural richness of South America's largest and only Portuguese-speaking country. São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, Brasília, and Maquis are home to most foreigners in Brazil. This is since big cities have more job opportunities and better infrastructure than rural places in Brazil. Brazil has risen to prominence as a new and vital global player, both economically and politically, in recent years. Although Brazil has had continuous economic growth, which, combined with its laid-back culture and pleasant environment, has prompted an increasing number of expats from many industries to contemplate relocating to the country, this may be changing. Brazil's economy contracted for 2 consecutive quarters in 2014, marking the country's first technical recession in 5 years. If you want to work in Brazil, the first thing you should do is learn the language. While Brazil's diversity are all spoken alongside 274 indigenous languages, Portuguese is the country's most widely spoken and understood language. Brazil has a thriving business environment as one of the world's fastest-growing economies. Despite the recent recession, Brazil remains the world's 7th largest economy, surpassing China in early 2012. Despite economists' expectations that the FIFA World Cup in 2014 and the Olympic Games in 2016 will bring additional impetus to the rising economy. Municipal holidays during local games and staff absenteeism from work to watch the tournament have had a severe impact on the economy, resulting in lower production rates and contributing to the aforementioned technical recession. Nonetheless, Brazil's reputation as a developing economy continues to attract foreign investment and qualified employees from other countries temporarily relocating to the country. For foreign professionals, the country's pioneering fields of ethanol production, which has recently slowed but is still backed by the government, and deep-water oil research provide promising employment prospects. Unless your company provides a housing allowance, your accommodation, particularly rentals, is likely the most expensive expense. Expenses in major cities such as São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro usually is higher, but this must be balanced against the additional cost of a daily journey from rural areas. According to the Cost of Rent Index, rent is more reasonable in Fortaleza in the north, Belo Horizonte in the east, and Porto Alegre in the south. Brazil is one of the few countries that provides free medical care to all citizens. Anyone legally living in Brazil can take advantage of the public health systems, Sistema Único de Saúde, SUS, free medical consultations, hospital treatment, and surgery. This system, however, has a reputation for being underfunded. Patients may have to wait a lengthy period in public hospitals. As a result, more affluent Brazilians, roughly 25% of the population, prefer the private healthcare system. Many organizations now provide private medical plans to their employees as part of their remuneration. SUS refers to Brazil's unified health system, Sistema Único de Saúde. A SUS card is essential to access public, private, or supplemental healthcare to coordinate medical records amongst services. These cards, as well as international health insurance documents, should be carried with you at all times. Find out what documents you'll need as an expat in Brazil. Working in Brazil is a desirable option for expats from all over the world due to the country's economic success and relatively stable growth. Brazil's economy is the world's 10th most prominent, and it is still growing, correct July 2018. Many huge enterprises and multinational corporations are usually located in Brazil's major cities, but the agricultural, mining and service industries are also substantial. São Paulo is home to the stock exchange, and Rio de Janeiro has several successful oil corporations. Despite the growth of these companies, the services sector employed 50.2% of the labor force in 2016. Expats with experience in oil and gas, engineering, or construction and IT specialists, particularly software engineers and database managers, are expected to be in great demand. Living in Brazil can be difficult, not least because of the bureaucracy involved in obtaining a work visa. Apart from the language barrier, the main obstacle to securing a job is not from Brazil, as many Brazilians rely on personal and professional ties to get work. Understandably, foreigners may have a more challenging time finding work than locals. If you're looking for a job in Brazil, job search engines are one of the most prevalent ways to submit applications. Teaching English as a second language is an appealing alternative for many expats. The months of March and August are the busiest for hiring. Sites like ESL Employment and Total ESL can assist you in finding the correct training and landing a job. However, those considering living in Brazil should make a detailed strategy before leaving their nation. For self-made expats, the market is hugely competitive, and every year, many expats return home early because their employment in Brazil did not meet their expectations. You should be aware that working in Brazil is usually only possible if you have a good command of the Portuguese language. Foreign nationals might use two sorts of visas to begin working in Brazil. The first is a Category V visa, which allows you to work in a specific job for a set amount of time. Expats with a Category V visa cannot change occupations throughout their stay in Brazil. Dependent family members are permitted to accompany the visa holder, but they are not automatically allowed to work in Brazil. Self-made expats who wish to work in Brazil frequently seek a permanent visa rather than the temporary one indicated above. This offers the distinct advantage of allowing the bearer to remain in Brazil permanently and change occupations without risking losing their work visa. Obtaining a permanent visa, on the other hand, is considerably more complex than getting a temporary work permit in Brazil. Above all, applicants must persuade Brazilian authorities that they have highly specialized abilities to assist the Brazilian economy. In Brazil, the government sets a minimum wage that is modified annually. The federal government can change this in any state, but it must stay within the national minimum. The state of São Paulo has one of Brazil's highest minimum wages. After arriving in Brazil, many expats purchase an automobile. Cars in Brazil are relatively expensive due to heavy taxes. On the other hand, buying a new car is both cheaper and more accessible than importing one from home. Cars are the most prevalent mode of transportation in the country, boasting the most significant road network in South America. Driving in Brazil may range from a thrilling experience to a complete disaster, especially in major cities like São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. Expats can use their national driver's license in Brazil for up to 6 months if translated into Portuguese and stamped by the Road Traffic Authority. Brazil offers a beautiful blend of history, natural beauty, and modern places, with vibrant towns, lovely white beaches, and dramatic jungles. It is the world's fifth largest country, with 5.2 million square miles, 8.5 million square kilometers. Due to its history, scenery, and culture, you may have to navigate or handle some disadvantages while living in Brazil, but you can have an excellent existence in Brazil if you can get over them. For more articles, visit expatrace.com. If you find this video helpful, please hit us like and consider subscribing.